Hello and welcome everyone to episode 17 of our podcast. In this episode, we'll talk about a day in the life of GenAlpha in 2030. I'm with Tommaso Di Bartolo, the founder and CEO of Digital, the startup laying the building blocks of spatial experiences. How's it going, Tommaso?
I feel awesome, Romeo. Today I was thinking, how do I feel? I said, yeah, I feel like an espresso affogato. An espresso affogato is like very strong, but at the same time, always having this sweetness, of enjoying life. Yeah. How have you been, Romeo?
Oh, yeah, it's been fantastic so far. The
That's
markets
awesome.
have been slightly roller coaster up and down, but overall, cannot live in a better time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm loving. So what are we going to talk about? I heard about this very intriguing title. So yeah, shoot.
Fantastic. No, yeah, we are slightly tweaking with the structure. In general, it's basically I ask the question. Now we want to basically do. I'm going to give you a premise, and based on that, I want to hear some of the perspective from your side. So,
Right
okay,
on.
so the premise is this: let's say 5 to 10 years from now, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they will have the option to handpick and design a completely bespoke spatial life for themselves. So now, if we divide this their life, the spatial experiences into let's say two different categories, and let's explore each of them. Okay, so number one is socializing and community, and number two is interactions with brands and businesses, which is basically how we live our life, right? So let's dive into the first one first. How do you see Gen Alpha socializing and mingling with community in the spatial environment 5 years from now?
All right. So I think Gen Z in 5 years is already too old, right? I mean, too old. But let's say Gen Alpha definitely. Gen Beta was just born in 2025, so in 2030 they're still too young, right? And maybe they're actually too young, but are the ones who will be compared with who once started using the iPhone, which is
Mhm.
Gen Beta. When you're saying, oh, interesting, I have my small kid, my young kid, child with 2 3, and you give them the phone, and they have this instinctively mode of going through the phone. I think that Gen Beta will be
Mhm.
in a similar mode, because with 5, right, if you start, let's say, having a perception, right, of your environment, right, and using any form of device, the question is what type of a device is going to Gen Beta going to use, right? And I do see that in 5 years, there's going to be definitely within these 5 years a breakthrough where we are moving a very with at a fast pace from mobile phones towards smart glasses, right? And I do foresee that over the next, let's call it 2 3 years, the industry of mobile computing is going to have another big push when it comes to immersiveness, right? Augmented reality. We do have inflection points that are very clear right now about the performance and experiences that you can build through AR Core, AR Kit, from Google, respectively, Apple, right? And so we have this new wave, this new push of experience types on mobile phone, but definitely the world of spatial, the world of spatial experiences, specifically what we are coining and leaning into, will be through smart glasses. So going back to your original question, I'm kind of laying the fundamentals here, right? So who is it for, right? So maybe you have the generation beta, at the age, let's say, 3 4 5 years old, really the kids, right, that are no longer going to say, oh, my parents, they can be on their phone, but allow me to do this, right? And I do
Exactly.
believe
Yeah.
that there's going to be a bunch of hardware providers that we already see in the making, and most probably are going to have a wave of new hardware providers that we don't even know of today, right? And yeah, these will be tailored to maybe a very, very young generation. But then there is obviously Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha is going to be the one who are from 6 to 20 years old by 2030. Oh wow, this is going to be, the elementary school, kindergarten school, is going to be the middle schooler, and then the students, right? So, and if you think, obviously, as a father of two, well, I call them kids, but no longer kids. By the way, let me take a moment. Hi, David, 23, and Sam, 19, right? So young adults, right? So they're going to use definitely smart glasses, right? Because if you think, Romeo, right, we handed out in this generation to kids starting the end of elementary school, some form of devices, right? So we
Yeah.
definitely are going to see exactly a similar evolution, but maybe the devices are no longer going to be actually the mobile phone that we hand out, but maybe the smart glasses. So definitely I see in 2030 a very moving beyond this early adapter market, co-conspirators of smart glasses, and having truly a first mass adoption of smart glasses, right? And when I say smart glasses, right, imagine that you have voice commands, right? That, I mean, similar to what I'm doing right now, right? I mean, I'm talking obviously into the camera and say, hey, Viri, turn on, boom. And now I'm
Hmm.
starting seeing basically my environment. Then let me double click into a day in a lifetime. So, you imagine that you are, Maria, in the Silicon Valley Bay Area. You go to Hillsboro High School, right? And so you have your smart glasses that are also in some form of shape also fancy, right? So they are for their target audience, right? And now what you have in those smart glasses is obviously on one hand audio connected, so obviously music is huge, right? And then you live through the lenses of your true bespoke reality, right, where the physical realm and the digital realm, right, are beautifully seamlessly in sync, right? When I say in sync, I think the point that I want to make here, because everyone says, oh, AR, but actually allow me to double click on AR, right? So what does it mean? I'm not talking about over imposing things on top of the real world, but truly imagine almost like a glove, right, of a digital layer that seamlessly integrates with the volumetric structure of the 3D world. What means volumetric structure, right? So we look into a 3D world, right, and this 3D world, right, has a full is fully understand from the digital world, so that environment can be enriched or can be augmented, can be taken into a new dimension. You can be looking at tables, at trees, at pavers, at walls, at screens. So whatever you have in front of you can be actually enriched through the digital layer, where that digital layer can become informative, it can become playful, it can become a new form of a hangout, right? So I do believe that we are going to have a way of interacting with this physical digital world, and it will psychologically, unlike what we have been doing the last 25 years, be more positive to our truly cognitive mind, to our senses, to our moods. Why? Because you're starting living your life in a way that it's more tailored to you. It's going to be more natural, but more integrated, right? And so it's more ultimately more pleasant and more beneficial, right? Now, a couple of concrete example that we work on as one of the pioneers in that segment, right? With Phygital as the underlying platform, where we have a foundational model, a large world model that is understanding and reasoning about the environment, right? The output level of it is the application called Viri, right? And we are focusing truly on reducing anxiety and depression by getting students on campus more out there and interact in a collaborative way. So I do believe that if you are in an environment where that environment, whatever, it's in front of a building, and in front of that building or even, I mean, let's talk in front of a coffee shop, right? Usually in front of a coffee shop, what you have is almost like a parking lot. You have a couple of chairs and tables where you can sit outside. You have the entrance, right? And let's say it's a pretty default settings, right? Which has today the so-called physical limitation, like in the physical world it has limitation. With the Viri application in 2030 and the smart glasses, right, anything that you see in that scene that I just described can be converted, can be enhanced into a touch point, into an environment, into a moment that is bespoke to you, and it empowers you to do something with it. I give you one example. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, right.
hmm?
No, please continue.
So that student, I'm kind of setting the stage because it's new, right? I want us, especially the listener here, kind of to navigate into that scene, right? So
Yeah.
that it becomes more tangible rather than coming just in with the probable use case. So imagine that the system knows that you are a student, and as a student, you are part of a math club, and that math club, right now is focused on certain algorithms, right? And you do that club because you not only are learning, but you love it. You do love that area, right? That subject, right? And by the way, I'm saying math, but now you say art, music, right? So go and
Yeah.
replace it with what you like, right? And so that environment where you are right now could challenge you, by the way, which, imagine you are in front of the Starbucks drinking your espresso or whatever. You see here as a Sicilian, I have always my espresso ready, which I had, 2 shots before this chat, right? And so you're drinking and you say, in old world, you were not doing anything. So basically you're here drinking, right? In the new world, you're this. Oh, wow. Oh, right. So you have these sparks, these signs, these moments of that trigger your attention and inattention, right? They trigger you to do something in that moment if you want, but what it's triggered, it's tailored to you. That's the reason why I made this example of math. Right? I would say, while you're drinking, I say, hey, do you know, Tommaso, that under that table, and it understands the format of the table, right? Under that table, you have an equation that was started by 7 like-minded peers that also love math, that are at the same stage, right? And there is a missing puzzle, and you could be the missing puzzle if you contribute. Okay, so what did I just describe? Environment, that in the physical world it's static and it has the physical limitation, but because of the digital layer, it basically triggers you and it understands you. First, it's bespoke, right? And it understands you to take action and to go to that specific location. And I basically reveal, untap, or discover under something, meaning you understand the physicality. Is it above? Is it under? And I give you just one example of an activity, and I give you some others in a second, right? And so you go basically under the table and you say, oh, that you kind of get into this digital layer. Now you discover something that is digital, and now you can engage with it. And now it's social, right? And now why would you do that? Well, because others have already started it. Is this awkward? No, it's not awkward. Why? Because I already love the topic. I am already there. The topic understands me, knows about me, right? And knows that I'm right now standing there, so I can contribute, right? When I contribute towards that, what it creates is almost like a micro community. So the future of attention, we're moving away from mass one-to-many communication, right? Mass communication into micro communication. So it's Tommaso, Romeo, and Maria. And why? Because the three of them, even they have never met, they love a specific subject which served in a specific location, makes them kind of come together, not in an awkward sense, right? And that layer is lessening truly the awkwardness of meeting people, because this week I had a very intriguing conversation. Over the last 25 years, we got used that we meet like-minded people online, and that's great and it's amazing. But the fact that it's online, it's truly distributed, and when it's distributed, I don't connect, and therefore I isolate myself, right? And that is what is truly a massive challenge with the world of true only online, right? That the isolation and social isolation is a huge issue, right? And those in 2030, that specific scenario that I described in front of a coffee shop, right? While you are walking out of it, right, could give you the opportunity to engage. And that's just one example, right? An example that is on one hand valuable. It's appropriate because at the right time, right? It's tailored to you because it understands you, right? It aims for fostering community, right? We are redefining now here a more natural and seamless way of socialization, right? Where
Hmm.
the objective of socialization is actually yeah seamless, right? So because I'm not saying I'm forcing upon someone to be socializing, I'm saying, we are doing something, and through this activity there is a moment where you can socialize, right, based on interest. So it's location based, right? It's
Right. Yeah.
people, and it's purpose. And that's the reason why I keep on saying, since the last whatever, since the end of 21, and then I wrote the book, right, that thing what was once called metaverse, now we want to call it spatial. Forget for a second the name, Romeo, right?
Yeah.
There is a new dimension out there that is physical, digital. It's an extension of our real life. That extension of our real life is going to be served through new devices, which most probably are going to be smart glasses, right? And it's going to enhance our lives, specifically when it comes to the relation between people, product, and places in a new way, in a way that we have not even discovered, right? That's kind of a kind of a hint how I see 2030 when it comes to socialization.
That is fascinating explanation. Yeah, thanks for that. You actually given me a leeway to get into the product side of the conversation. So, how do you think brands and basically businesses are going to leverage the spatial? How do they become part of this ecosystem of this new dimension?
I believe a lot that the we're moving and shifting in from brands opting in to target users, which is defined as online advertisement, right? So I have a certain
Yeah.
budget, and then I apply that budget to reach a specific target audience through specific channels, right? That this is shifting and empowering, actually, and putting the user at the center, which is exactly what we need to do, right? By the way, if you take a look at the forecast at the major online advertisers, so you see a decline and no longer double digits growth, right, in online
Hmm.
advertisement, right? And the reason for that is because Gen Z highly dislikes the way that are tackled, and the privacy is infringed through the online advertising. Now, what they love is brands. They love their Nikes, their Louis Vuittons, right? So there is this discrepancy between the way that I'm tackled right now and approached, right, and
Yeah. Yeah.
actually the emotions and the empathy that I have for a brand. So they are not disliking brands. Now the motivation and the ability that we need to give them, the user, is to do something with that, with your love, with the empathy. And so what I foresee is that the user is going to start the interaction with a brand and with a product, right? So again, you're at this coffee shop, you take a picture or a video of the scene, right? It recognizes all the brands. It recognizes the cars. It recognizes what you're wearing. It recognizes the coffee shop, right, and the other restaurants, right? And now they are transformed into a digital environment and into a playful environment that allows you to be creative with that. Again, the beauty of the digital world is that the physical is limited through physical limitations, right? But the digital can allow you to self-express yourself, to be creative, right? This next generation loves to co-create, to put music onto it, right, and to shape things, and then maybe to create the new animations, right? And that's the reason why we call our very world creation that we empower in this current version is, we have invented the digital graffiti, which is a collaborative way for multiple users, right, to grab from the physical world, digitalize things, right, and make them part of a digital graffiti that our core abbreviation name is XFIDI, right, as a modern way of doing a graffiti that is co-creative, that is collaborative, and then it's truly a multidimensional asset. So what in 2D was swiping and watching primarily, posts, text, and videos, right? We are moving now into a physical digital dimension that allows still to be creative, but taking a notch into more creativity and placing those assets, right, with the physical world so that others are going to see that only if they have an affinity towards that. So we are not going towards a world where we have a polluted world, but actually, if we do it correctly, we're going to see, attention, that's very important, at the right time, the
The
right
right
thing.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at the right time, at the right place, the right thing, and that's value, right? Because if
Yeah.
I see at the right time, at the right place, the right thing, now all of a sudden that is value, right? So we are shifting, going back to your original question of brands, we're shifting and empowering the user in a very user-centric way to opt in for the relationship with brands or with any other potential commercial benefit. So right now it's I decide to get in front of someone, and we are shifting and say, no, you don't decide. We decide and we collaborate. So instead of selling to, we collaborate with, and that becomes a homogene, again, seamless, a more beautiful, a more natural, a more empathetic way of you doing something with brands. And what is this something? Again, it's going to be together to co-create, beautify, make it more fun, smarter, this environment together, right? So we need to move away from what we know today, right? In saying, oh, these are advertisers. No, they have actually, they come with culture, they come with products that we love, that we use, right? But moving away from traditional methods of reaching people and actually infringing their privacy, that's what they feel through the statistic, we can read through it, right? And becoming more of a partner within this new world. That's the reason why we don't call it, by the way, Romeo, a platform. Whatever is a platform has been a two-dimensional thing, has been, a platform is an aggregation of multiple products that usually have or don't have APIs. And that's beautiful and has been Web 2, right? But now that we're shifting into this physical digital dimension, it is no longer a platform, but it's truly a world, right? A world where at the center you have the user. The user decides how it's decorating, how it's influencing that physical digital world, right? And within that world, you have an ecosystem play and an economy, right, that coexists between the physical and the digital.
Right. So one thing that I like about it, so what you're essentially saying, makes advertisement become much more precise, but at the same time much less invasive, right? So people are actually going to see the ads that they really want to see, and at the same time they are going to love the companies.
I actually would take that into a totally different book. There was once an advertisement. I don't think they're going to die. Don't get me wrong, right? And that will be one way of still approaching folks, right? We still will have Web 2. I'm not saying, but what I'm describing is not on the same page of advertisement, right? What I foresee is that there is going to be a new model of engaging with user that is not called advertisement. Are there going to be brands? Yes, but just because there are going to be brands, it doesn't necessarily have the stream of I advertise you, right? Well, I like to lean into what I've been kind of coining since the co-author, being the co-author of the book, navigating the metaverse, published in 2022, joint value creation, JVC, right? So meaning that where two or more collaborate within a world, right, new value, new physical digital value can be created, meaning that a physical product can also have a soul with some digital value add that not necessarily is created by the manufacturer of that product, but through the collaboration of an end user. And the actual end result, the actual maybe revenue of it, or the actual value creation, there will be revenue split models between the end user who enriches the digital world of that physical product, right? And then the physical product, there is obviously the cost of goods, the transaction that needs to be done, right? But that's truly a collaboration. That's the reason why it's an experience, right? You go to a place, right? And in front of that location, you have a product, but that product is sold less, like it's static, it's physical, and it's okay. I mean, you have a brand that was created, right? But then users can create around it and with it a soul, a digital soul that can create an experience with it, right? That can basically enchant others and drive traffic to it, or leverage it in a new way, in a playful way, in a fun way, in a smart way. And that is joint value creation. You have a delta between the cost of goods and the product that was created and the new basically experience. And that is what I foresee. Because now you have partners. Now you collaborate peer-to-peer, peer-to brands, right?
Amazing. I mean, I can't wait to see the all of these things to coming into effect till 2030. Hopefully, Fury gets there faster than that, and we
We're
will get
doing
to
our best.
experience
We're
all of
doing our best, Romeo.
it. Amazing. Okay, as always, Tommaso, thank you for your time. This has been an amazing conversation, and this has actually gone longer than our average conversation. So yeah, it's been a ton of fun. And for everyone who has joined in, thank you very much. Visit the Fury closed beta. Go to fury.world, join our Discord, and hope to see everyone there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Romeo. See you then.